Hello, this is GitHub Copilot running entirely offline, on battery, on a laptop, on a moving Japanese bullet train for free, not paying for tokens. It actually works. This is incredible. I'm going to show you how I did it. Let's go. So if you're familiar with the GitHub Copilot app, they've finally added the ability to do custom model providers, which means we can use local LLMs. And I've decided to use an app called Lemonade AI. Yeah, this is by AMD, and that's because I'm using an AMD Radeon Ryzen thing that's got an AI Max 395 with 128 gigs of shared memory. So this is basically a MacBook Pro Max thing in a Windows machine. So it's actually a good Windows machine for a change. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to load Qwen-Coder-Next, and we're using a special AMD backend. So this is nice and fast. Hit load. And what you'll notice over here in the task manager, the VRAM is absolutely loaded up. And you can't do this on a normal graphics card because most graphics cards don't have all of this gobs of gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, so this is using a fair chunk, 46 gigabytes of VRAM, and there are larger models, but the larger they get, the slower they are. So this is a nice compromise I've found. So once this is loaded, we can test it. We can go, hello, like this. Hello, look at that. We've even got some cool cow emojis. See? So this model is designed for coding only. You can't ask questions about philosophy. It's going to be a bit rubbish at that. But what we can now do is do add provider. We can go to Olama local. I'm going to run it on the same Olama port, lemonade.ai. So, but I will rename it Lemonade. Yeah, I'll go add provider, browse catalog, and it's already brought up the models here. So we're going to try Qwen-Coder-Next, which is pretty good. And that's it. That's all you have to do. So let's give this a test. If you're familiar with our MVP Love app, yeah, from the previous videos, yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to add a random option to the top right. Okay, where you click random, and it takes you to a random Microsoft MVP. Right. So let's do this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we've got a new session here. We're not going to select Claude Opus at the bottom. We're going to select our local model, Qwen-3. We'll try it in using our local LLM first, and then we'll try it with Claude Opus and see what the difference is. It's not quite as good, but it is pretty damn good. So let's get our prompt in. So this is the prompt we're going to use. Let's add a new menu item called random that redirects to random MVP. I've given it a little bit of a hint about what I wanted to do. I wanted to create a new method on the MVP data service called getRandomID. Let's go, shall we? Send. Now, this will spin for a while, okay? Because what it's actually doing is having to process a prompt. And if we go over to Lemonade, we do view logs, we can see at the bottom that it's loading, processing the prompt, which takes quite a while. You only have to do this once, though, so it's not too bad. Okay. So the question is this LLM actually going to give me some code that I'm happy with first time for free without paying for any tokens? And you can see the compute here on the GPU is going a bit balmy. And I don't know if you can hear that, but the sound of the fan, yeah, it's like a rocket ship taking off. All right, we are off to the races. It's starting to search for stuff. It's found stuff. Look at that. It's calling the tools. It's doing all the cool tooling. Tool cooling. Cool tooling. Cool tool cooling. Look at that. Now I'll implement the changes, get random ID, add random action. I mean, it's pretty good, this. I like it. Look at this. It's going. 2 minutes so far, though. 2 minutes so far. Half of that time was processing the prompt. Okay, let's see the changes it decided to make. And it's done a pretty good job so far. Yeah, it did add random ID and it used random shared. It created a nice little redirect to action. So it knows a .NET MVC. How good is that? The Chinese model knows .NET MVC. Thank you, base China. And it's added the link to random, which is absolutely perfect. And it's running the tests. It's running the tests. It's being a good boy. There you go. Run test to verify changes. 3 minutes so far. Not too bad. Done. Fantastic. Let's take a look to see if it works. over in the terminal, we'll move over to the source folder and do .NET run. Doop-a-doop-a-doop, building. Let's open this guy. And we've got a random MVP. Ah, that hasn't worked. It's not too smart. It's just doing MVP index. So we need to update this and tell it to fix itself because it didn't quite work. What we can do, we can stop this. Yeah, I would say redirect to the detail route with the ID instead of index. And we'll see if Claude Opus didn't fall for this little gotcha. Yeah. Edit home controller. We're off. Done. Redirect to detail action with a random MVP ID. Oh, look at that. Redirect to detail. Let's try running that again. Bang. .NET run. And hit random. There you go. Look at that. We can do some random MVPs. I wonder how many times I click this before I get Nick Chapsis. Any bets? What do you think? Well, he's not in this data set. He's only on the online version. We'll figure that out later. Yeah. So I think that was pretty good. So we've reverted the changes, and now we're going to try Claude Opus 4.6. Okay. And make sure that it includes home controller. Exactly the same prompt as before. Home controller, like so. Called random. Let's see if it falls for the same trap. It doesn't redirect to detail. Okay. Let's see. Claude Opus. Go. So this is much faster, yeah, processing that prompt. Still thinking, yeah. So apparently this Qwen-Coder model doesn't have a thinking thing, so it doesn't think, just does, which is nice, isn't it? Yeah. Need to check how the MVP detail route page route works to know where to redirect. That's fair. That's fair. Maybe it won't fall for the same gotcha. Build the project, run the tests. So it's still up to a minute, right? So it's only this is compared to what this is running on in the cloud. Yeah, this Claude Opus stuff runs on the cloud on a beefy supercomputer. It's still like takes a similar amount of time, right? To have a good go at it. Let's check the changes there, and look, there you go. So it did redirect action to detail there, which is fair. I mean, this thing has trillions of training parameters versus what, 70 billion parameters or something in this model that I'm using. But yes, it works. Now the interesting thing is that, of course, this costs you actual money. Yeah, this cost you 49.7 AI credits, which I think is about $0.50. All right, so we saved 49 cents, which is incredible. We've saved some money. Now, if you do this over huge amounts of work, maybe you will save some money, and I think that's pretty good. VS Code also has the ability to do this, and the harness is slightly different from the GitHub Copilot app. I was getting slightly better results during my testing, and Visual Studio Code is what I used to run on the bullet train, because I just could not get the GitHub Copilot app to work 100% with no internet connection. But you could jerry rig this one to work, so it does. It's okay. This 120 billion parameter model, GPT-OSS, isn't actually that much better for me than this Qwen-Coder-Next model, so go for that. So there you go. There's the demo of local LLMs, 100% offline without sending money to Microsoft or Anthropic or OpenAI to do your job. And this has made me actually okay with this technology now, because if you can run it all locally, then what's the problem? We're back in control, right? I do not like the idea of every time I type something, money leaves my bank account. I can't do that for a living. I don't know how anybody manages to survive or just cope with it. Right, I'm new to all of this local LLM stuff, so please put your comments down below, and I will obviously reply because I love your comments. Thank you for watching.